I'm making a bulletproof coffee. It's got butter in it. So very quickly, I want to talk about Sit Fu for 6, which is a charity event run by Every Damn Day Fitness. And this is happening on the 4th of November. And it will include a guest appearance from Robert Frank. All money going to the Semper Fi Fund for Veterans. So I've linked it at the top of the description box. I've linked it also as a pinned comment in the comment section. If you're interested in supporting this charity, then please check out that link and donate of your free will. And so if anybody tells you that Bulletproof Coffee has causation in relation to the decrease in adipose tissue, i.e. that Bulletproof Coffee causes fat loss, you have my permission to laugh in their face. Now, I suggest that you laugh in their face for a minimum of 10 seconds to highlight how ludicrous that statement is, followed by saying these words in your best Arnold voice. I'm good at this one.
Don't be ridiculous.
And so fat loss is a regulated process where your body creates energy on a per need basis, meaning that your body uses fatty acids for fuel when it needs to. And also, this involves the concept of thermoregulation. This process is heavily influenced by energy balance, specifically a negative energy balance, where in addition, the quality of your food intake will contribute to creating this negative energy balance. And the processes of lipolysis and beta oxidation are the concepts for fat loss within the body. And be aware that lipolysis, the breaking down of fatty acids, does not necessarily mean that beta oxidation, the burning up of fatty acids for energy, will take place. And in addition, and this is going to be my new favorite word, fat loss is multifactorial, meaning that there are a range of issues that contribute to it. And therefore, the idea that a drink in isolation or some sort of drink hack will lead to some sort of fat loss benefit or unique fat loss or some sort of direct causation is complete nonsense. And therefore, a bulletproof coffee is not a magic bullet for fat loss. That pun took me ages. Just because I have to in every video, if you're going to comment down below, but I drink bulletproof coffee and I lost fat, watch my other videos on fat loss and please try and understand the difference between correlation and direct causation for fat loss processes. I'm not going to go into that in every video, but there's always one in every comment section. So I'm going to look at my notes here for the arguments supporting the idea that bulletproof coffee causes fat loss, and these are specifically to do with the idea of suppressing hormones and being beneficial to hormones, and that hormone hook and line is used so much by liars. Oh, and then we have that generic statement of boosting metabolism, as though metabolism is such a straightforward process and so easy to hack and boost, because actually metabolism, which is the anabolism, the building up, and the catabolism, the breaking down of amino acids, of glucose, of fatty acids, of nucleic acid, is a regulated process with peaks and troughs. You have anabolism and catabolism. The two are intertwined. The two are interlinked. Catabolism follows anabolism. It, of course, depends on many factors, such as your food intake, your energy balance, your training. All sorts of variables influence metabolism. So whenever you hear anybody telling you that, oh, this drink will boost your metabolism and directly cause fat loss, you have to understand that they don't understand the intricacies of metabolism. However, saying all of that, I do believe that fat loss becomes kind of funky when you get down to the really low levels of body fat naturally, the sort of 10% and below range. I think losing fat, further fat when you're natural at those ranges, I think there's a lot to be investigated into how to achieve that naturally. And because of this process of adaptive thermogenesis, where your body kind of kicks in these fail safes, where it's trying to make you eat more because it's kind of going into starvation mode, and this will relate to your ghrelin levels. And so for those of you who don't know, bulletproof coffee involves putting grass-fed butter and MCT oil, medium chain triglyceride oil, into your coffee, and essentially a lot of false claims and marketing claims have been made as to its implications. Now, what a bulletproof coffee is it does taste nice. Putting butter into your coffee, it tastes nice in my opinion. In terms of extra energy boost, as opposed to a regular coffee, again, I would say that would be a slightly anecdotal, the information that people are giving you. I wouldn't want to give you any information as to the increased alertness, for example, because alertness could also be related to your sleep, to how well you've trained, to your overall eating. There's a whole multitude of factors that influence alertness, and also the caffeine involved will of course increase alertness. But I do understand that certain people will drink Bulletproof coffee for the MCT oil, which does have promising information in regards to an improvement in cognitive function. However, having said that, you don't have to put MCT oil in a coffee with butter to consume MCT oil. You know, there are several companies that use this. Caveman Coffee, who by all accounts are a very good coffee company run by Tate Fletcher, former UFC fighter. And if you've recognized his face, it's because he's in every action film you've ever watched over the last 5 years. He's always the bad guy that's getting killed by the main actor in the film. And so a Bulletproof coffee is not unhealthy. That's not the point of this video. This kind of phobia of dietary fats, although dietary fats come in many forms, some worse than others, but this general phobia of consuming dietary fat is kind of ridiculous, as it is with carbohydrates and proteins. And the reason that I say that is because attributing fat loss to one specific macronutrient is an extremely flawed concept. And so fat loss, and this is the word I'm going to use over and over again in this video, is multifactorial. And that's just the truth. And so the real issue with Bulletproof coffee is it really does depend on your eating protocol, because the calories are quite massive for a coffee. If you compare coffees, you could have anywhere from 300 to 400-500 calories in a Bulletproof coffee because of the butter content, the MCT oil. Now, they're not inherently bad foods, but they are dense in calories. Now, my advice to you is that if you're going to drink Bulletproof coffees, you need to track the calories in them, because if you're looking to lose fat and you want to be in a caloric deficit and negative energy balance, not tracking that Bulletproof coffee, especially if you're drinking more than one a day, could actually sabotage your fat loss goals if it's knocking you out of that caloric deficit. And a lot of people kind of misunderstand that because it's a drink. They think, well, how many calories can a drink have, you know? But when you combine that with your food intake, now, if you're on a balanced diet, a balanced macronutrient diet, I would say it's even more vital to track your Bulletproof coffee calories, because you're not removing any macronutrient in your diet, and therefore your caloric intake with your balanced meals will relate closer to the Bulletproof coffee. Now, if you're on a ketogenic or low carb diet and you're removing a macronutrient, your overall caloric intake will obviously decrease because you're removing a macronutrient. But even in that regards, if you're still going to eat throughout the day, your protein sources, your fat sources, if you're ketogenic, you're still consuming calories, your avocados, your nuts, olive oil, your fat sources, etc. So in my opinion, regardless of your diet, your eating protocol, you still need to track and be aware of how many calories are in your Bulletproof coffee. So I'm not going to tell you to drink these coffees or not. This is a completely personal choice. And the conclusion is that whether you drink it or not comes down to your personal preference. But be aware that there are a large amount of calories in it. And be aware that tracking that is important, because you need to be in your caloric deficit to lose fat. So don't sabotage that. If you can drink your coffee with the butter and the MCT oil in it and track and still eat food and feel satiated and be in caloric deficit, great. If you struggle, then consider just drinking regular coffee. And this idea of being satiated from these Bulletproof coffees, I don't really buy too much, because I actually believe that food generally is more satiating than drinks. And Alan Aragon made the mistake of putting quite a humorous Bulletproof coffee graphic on Instagram, not understanding that people get so offended and triggered whenever you talk about anything to do with their specific eating protocol that they have to impose on other people. Although in my opinion, it is completely redundant to impose eating protocols on a wide mass audience, because it's such a personalized process. Whenever you see anything like this, whether it's a drink or a supplement or some sort of eating protocol, this leads to this, you have to understand how multifactorial they are. You have to understand how personal eating is, and that will relate to so many factors such as your training and your calorie, your energy balance. But don't fall for the marketing hype. A Bulletproof coffee tastes nice. If you can manage it within your calories to meet your goals, then do it. If you're struggling to lose fat and you're pounding Bulletproof coffees because somebody's told you it gives you some sort of unique benefit for fat loss or performance, stop and track how many calories you're getting from food, and then go from there to create a caloric deficit. So I'm James Linker, Shredded Sports Science. I'll see you soon.